So let's continue. We're going to do one more word problem. Again, these are going to be probably tied into two-step equations, but we'll just see how this all plays out. So let's look at this one together. Army spent half of his income, half of his weekly income, playing golf. To earn more money, his parents let him wash the car for $5. What was his weekly income if he ended up with $20? Okay? That's a lengthy paragraph, and it has a few twists in it. But let's just note that at the end here, what was his weekly income if he ended up with $20? This has kind of helped me identify what I'm looking for. What was his weekly income? That's what we're looking for. So what we're trying to find is his weekly income. And since we don't know what that is, we can let X represent that. So useful information. I'm trying to find some things here. Well, one thing to pick up on, he spent half of his weekly income. That's useful to us. Playing golf. To earn more money, he was able to get, they gave him $5 to wash the car. So $5 is going to add to his income. And then we also know that he ended up with $20. So those are some pieces that I pick up on. So if I play this out, trying to put this together a little bit, useful information and everything, I have to have some thoughts here. So my useful information, I'm trying to put this together and some thoughts. So what I do is just probably trial and error it a little bit. Let's just pick out an income, so it's not so vague. Let's say he had $50 as his income, so we're going to just trial and error. And I'm just going to say he has a $50 weekly income. That seems reasonable for a weekly income. So like I said, it's talking about parents, so we'll probably talk more of a teenager. So let's see if this actually fits. So half of his weekly income went to golf. So he spent half of his income. So I have he's got this $50 and he's going to lose half of his income playing golf. But then he turns around and gets an additional $5. So he's supposed to end up with $20 when that's said and done. So he starts with $50. He spends, in other words, you're going to deduct that half of his income, and then we're going to add $5 to that. So we have 50 and half of his income. Again, that's just like dividing by 2 or multiplying by half. Half of his income would be 25, and add 5 to that. Does that equal 20? Well, 50 minus 25 is going to be 25. 25 plus 5 is going to equal, no, that's going to be too much. But what I picked up on, though, is I picked up on kind of a strategy here. Because the 50 was my weekly income, and what I actually chose for my weekly income is actually X. So wherever there's a 50, I can actually replace that with an X and create an equation. And that was my goal. I didn't write it up here this time, but we're supposed to write an equation. So in this problem, what I'm coming up with is X is his weekly income. I'm going to be subtracting half of his income, half X, and I'm going to be adding a 5 to that. My balance should equal 20. Okay? So even though I didn't actually find the answer with trial and error, what I did see, though, is a useful equation where I could actually now bring my variable involved and create an algebraic equation. So we do have this X minus 1/2. Again, we can write this as X minus X over 2 if I want to. Because remember, half is like dividing by 2. Adding 5 to that has to equal 20. So we have X over 1 minus X over 2. Remember, to work with fractions, we have to have a like denominator. So my common denominator is going to be a 2. So I had to multiply the top and bottom of this one by 2. That's going to give me 2x over 2 minus x over 2. I'm adding 5 to that, and that's got to equal 20. Well, 2x minus an x, or 2x's and lose an x, is going to give me an x over 2, plus 5 is equal to then 20. So I get an equation that looks like that. This looks something we're familiar with. That looks like those two-step equations. So see, I have it adding 5. I can now zero that out with subtracting 5 on both sides. So I should have x over 5 is equal to 15. Hopefully that fits on our board here, getting kind of close to my corner. I see division. The division tells me I can actually use multiplication to solve that. So if I multiply each side by 5, my x should equal then, and I'm going to bring that up here, x should equal then, because these 5s are going to divide out, and 15 times 5 is going to be, actually, where did I, yep, let's see here. That's going to be 15 times 5. Where did I get that 5 at? No, that's a 2, isn't it? Sorry about that. That's x over 2. So I'm multiplying each side by 2, actually. So 2's divide out, and I actually have 15 times 2. 15 times 2 would actually give me 30. So what we're saying is his weekly income should be 30. So let's see if we play that out, if we check that. So if we put a 30 in here, and half of 30 would be 15, and if I add 5 to that, does that equal 20? Well, 30 minus 15 is 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. That makes a true statement. So his weekly income is $30. So I can put that 30 right up over here and kind of bring it together and say, hey, my weekly income is X, which is, again, $30 there. So you kind of see this gets a little bit messy, even for myself. But in the end, you want to try to keep it as organized as possible. So again, we're trying to find a weekly income. We kind of try to put our useful information together. And again, sometimes my useful information has to be just played in a trial and error of, where did the 50 come from? I just thought about it and thought, well, if it's a weekly income, and there's not a whole lot of money involved here, let's just try a clean number like 50 or 40. Keep those numbers simple so it makes the math easier to do. So that's why I try to choose a clean number that I can actually play with pretty easily in my head. Okay? So give that a shot. Stay tuned.